Oh, I
ticket.
appreciate that. Okay,
It's not a
I'll be
gotcha
honest. I've never
podcast.
done
Yeah.
a podcast before. So.
Oh, this is perfect. This is excellent because
All
Oh
right.
you're gonna
no.
love
The
it.
Virgin
You know,
Voyage.
you're gonna
The
love it. That's
Virgin
what I'm saying.
Voyage.
You're
Yeah.
gonna love it. It's gonna be great. We're gonna have
What
fun.
if I
It's a
get
guarantee.
canceled before I make it?
No.
It won't happen. It won't happen. Not
I think
not
that's
because of this show. I'll tell you that much. So you're
yeah,
good.
for sure.
You're good.
Okay.
Okay. Hello, Chris here with another episode of the Make It Podcast. And with me this week is my partner in podcasting, Nicholas Buggs, as well as our esteemed guest, actress Katherine Ro. Guys, say hello in any order you'd like.
Well, Catherine got it, of course. I have to give it to her, man. This is our esteemed guest for today, and it's awesome. It's such a pleasure to have you here. We're excited that we can make this connection. You know, this is what I think we're all about, is making these connections with people. This is your first experience with us. So I want you to basically to know that that's why we're here. It's about connections with real humans, right? So that we can give some advice, some insight, share your journey, and we're just going to have a good time. So, you know, strap in.
Let's do it.
Let's go.
Strap in.
Yeah,
what a week. The last time we were on, we were talking about, you know, sort of the run up to the Nashville Film Festival, as well as I think the Prince George Festival for you, Nick. By the time this comes out, the other episodes where we talked about those things we'll have published. But I do want to just give a little follow up on that housekeeping before we get started in earnest. Well, a couple pieces of housekeeping. First things first. If you are listening to this podcast right now, I want you guys, just want to remind you guys, we are on YouTube at youtube.com/at the Make It Podcast. And is that right? Or is it at Make It Podcast, Nick?
Make It Podcast.
Okay. At Make It Podcast. So erase that, youtube.com/at Make It Podcast. You can watch this thing. So please do that. If you do watch already, or you're going to watch and look us up on YouTube, it means so much for us for you to subscribe and like. And I just want to explicitly ask for that. Like, please, if you like what we're doing, you appreciate the work we're doing week after week after week. This is like, we're nearing 400 episodes here. It really is a passion project for us, labor of love. Hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, and support the indie film journey that we are all on together. All right.
That's amazing.
Nashville Film Festival.
Thank you.
I'm not going to go through the whole festival. I am in beautiful Nashville, Tennessee, as viewers that see us every week kind of know. But I'm also on the board of the Nashville Film Festival. I've probably said that ad nauseum as well. But
yeah, it's making
me
a big
sick,
deal. It's literally making
exactly. You work all year for this thing to happen. It was a big exaltation. I'm not going to go through everything about the week, but I will say this: shout out to Haim, who showed up to the festival, did a great thing at Soho House, a great conference there, great talk. Shout out to Diane Warren. Shout out to Linda Perry, who showed up. All just incredible people. Shout out to Jason Reitman, who said the film festival was the best festival vibe he has ever attended in his career. So this is a 4-time Oscar winner saying that. I think that's great. So go check out his film Saturday Night, which was one of the standout films of the festival. The other film I want everyone to watch is called Bob Trevino Likes It. And it has John Leguizamo in it. It has French Stewart, and he is absolutely incredible in it. I mean, he's so dislikable and despicable. You just wouldn't believe it. It has the young lady from Euphoria in it as well. She owns the screen. She's no joke. She's one of the best actresses ever. I need to look that up. Producer Papa Bear, can you find out who the lead actress is in Bob Trevino Likes It? I'm forgetting her name right now, but I want to shout her out because she blew me away. I cried my eyes out in this movie. Friend of the podcast, Ted Welch, is playing another asshole in this movie. And he only gets roles as assholes. Now, that's not me talking shit. That's him. He told me this on Saturday. I talked to him for a long time on Saturday. He was like, I only get cast as the asshole. So he's been in True Blood. The Help, Killers of the Flower Moon. Now Bob Trevino. I think I'm leaving out one. He's got this great resume, but he always plays a guy
It's
you
the
don't like.
opposite. It's the opposite of
Yeah.
his real character, right? And I
Yeah,
think that's
he's not
awesome.
that way in real life at all.
It's
He's
so
like
cool.
the best
He's a
guy.
true actor, bro. A true actor.
Yeah,
That's amazing.
in real life. So shout out to that film. Shout out to director Tracy Lehman, who the movie is about her real life. So this is partially why it's so emotional, because you really do get the sense that this is a real story. And then I found out in the Q&A, of course, that it was. So shout out to everybody who worked on the Nashville Film Festival. On to next year, on to 2025. And shout out to those films. Do go watch them wherever you can find them. Nick, I know you have some housekeeping on Prince George.
I do. So I'm gonna speak directly to Catherine on this one, because she's new. She's new to us. Yeah, she's new to us. Yeah. So I want to let you know, like, I always go to the Nashville Film Festival. I always go.
Okay.
Like, this is where our people are. You know, Chris. I get to hang out with Chris. It's such a good time. But this year, I decided not to go because I actually wanted to rep some of the stuff that was going on locally. So I'm in Maryland. So I actually went to the PG, which is the Prince George's County Film Festival. And they've been running for 3 years now. So I got to go to the third one. And it was a great experience. Like, I was like, okay, look, I got my people here doing some things, some small things, some big things. And it was exciting just to see what people were doing locally, because I've been doing stuff elsewhere. I mean, Chris and I have been out to LA, we've been out to Fayetteville, Arkansas. Like, there's all these different places, and it's like, and I've not been at home. I've not stayed here. And it was really cool to see what people were doing at home. And, you know, I don't know how many of you ever watched the show A Different World, of course, spinoff from the Cosby Show. But so I'm standing at this place, and A Different World is like, you know, that's part of my childhood. I love that show. And I look across the room, and there's Shazza. Now, Shazza is a character on the show A Different World, you know, Gary Dourdan. And I was just floored. I was like, look at me deciding to stay home. And who do I see but one of these characters from one of my favorite shows? Oh, it was. That's exactly how I saw it. It was amazing. And to have that experience and take a picture and have a chat with him while we were there was just, it was great. It was great. He had a film in the festival, of course, Albany Road. And it was just a nice experience. So it was good to see the people in my backyard. PG County, I went to school there for high school. So it was even a little bit, you know, more close to home. But it was nice. And sad not to be at the Nashville Film Festival, hanging out with my buddy Chris here. But it was fated for me to be at the PG Film Festival. So just a shout out to people to say, hey, I know there's a lot of Oscar contending film festivals like the Nashville Film Festival that you can go to and you'll want to go to, but don't forget home. There's just something about it, right?
I think it's a great point. And I think we should also shout out former guest of the podcast, Vanzel Burke, who does Burke Management and was also at this festival. Is that right, Nick?
That's right. And of course, I was able to take, I won't say able to take, I decided to take my son, who's 13, with me on one of the days of the film festival. And yeah, we got a picture with Vanzel, you know, a former guest of the podcast, future collaborator. He's just an all around good guy. And and everybody loved my son. It was great. They're just like, it was the best thing. It's like, you know, young man, I'm glad you came. I think he was the youngest person there at the film festival. So I'm glad he got to experience that with me and hang out with Dad for a couple hours.
What a good experience for him.
Exactly. So it was great.
I'm so glad you ran into him. Papa Bear, can you tell me what episode Vanzel was? He has an incredible episode. Like I think he raps on the episode. So like, and this is a guy who has managed some big stars in his day as a agent or a manager rather. So he just has a great episode. He has an incredible story. It's a fun interview, and everybody should go check that out if you're unfamiliar with who he is. He has a very inspiring story for those who need and would like to be inspired. So with all that said, Katherine, tell us a little bit about you.
Okay.
And why you're on this podcast.
Fate.
Let the people know.
That's right. That's it. Fate. It was
there
fate.
You go.
We're going to keep it at that. It's fate.
That's right.
Love it.
Well, I am Katherine Ro. I was actually born in Venezuela, and I grew up in Miami, Florida for half my life, and my other half I grew up in Utah.
Mm.
And career and life took us to Georgia, so Georgia is kind of home base for now. But right now, I am in Budapest, of all places.
We got to talk about
And
that. Wait,
I'm
what?
an actress.
Wait, you're right.
And-
Utah,
oh, yeah, and you're an
Georgia,
actress.
Budapest. Like, how does that work out?
We're
How do you end up in
nomads.
Budapest? Yeah, right. That's cool.
How did I end up
Talk
where?
Can you
Yeah,
talk
in
about why
Budapest.
you're in Budapest right now?
So we're in Budapest right now, me and my family, my husband, my two kids, because we are filming the prequel season to The Terminalist called Dark Wolf, starring Chris Pratt and Taylor Kitsch. And you can find the first season on Amazon Prime Video.
So I watched
Cool.
the first season of this the second it came out, and I remember.
Did you?
Yes, I love this show. So cat's
Yeah.
out of the bag on that. But
Okay.
I remember opening the series and thinking to myself, why is Chris Pratt cast in this role? I'm very curious because I like him quite a bit. And it's like, okay, he has to be serious here. He has to be threatening in this.
Yes.
And can he do that? I wonder why he was cast in this instead of like a Colin Farrell or somebody like that.
Yeah.
And he was unbelievable in it.
Absolutely.
He was so real.
His performance in this is, to me, unlike any other of his performances. Like
Yes.
he did his homework for sure. And like, there's so many people in his life with military background. So I think it wasn't hard for him. One of his best friends was the one who brought the book to him from Jack Carr. And so together, they helped make this happen. But yeah, like I honestly thought the same thing. And honestly, when I was watching it, my heart broke because I'm like, he has to dive into such dark places. And like, we love and know Pratt. So it's like, no,
Yeah.
don't do that.
Wait. So are you guys
Yeah.
telling me, are you honestly trying to tell me and this audience that this performance was more powerful than Garfield? Is that what you're trying to say to me right now?
My kids would have a different opinion.
See, there you go. Isn't it crazy? Like we're doubling down on this
Yeah.
performance because you know the depths that you have to go through, right? You understand just
Yeah.
how
Yeah.
maybe out of character this is, and yet our children would be like, "Nah, that Garfield performance, he was Garfield? Wow!" It's like, oh man,
Yeah. He was Garfield. He was Mario. He was
He's been in a lot of
Lego.
stuff. He's
That's
always
right.
played
Yep.
that sort of a lovable role, and this is such a departure for what we
Absolutely.
know him from.
Yeah,
And for him to
yes.
pull it off in such a convincing way was remarkable. I kept wondering how they're going to do a season 2. I'm not going to give anything away, but I was wondering how they're going to do. So the prequel makes a ton of sense now. So I'm
Yeah.
really looking forward to it. I think the
Well,
other
you
thing
were going to be
too.
surprised about the prequel and where it goes.
Okay.
I'll leave
Okay.
it at that.
And no,
Oh,
yeah,
nice.
no spoilers. I'm looking for. When is it? Wait, when is it set to premiere?
To air, I don't think they've set a date yet, but my guess would be, if not by the end of next year, probably beginning of 2026. That's my guess.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I'm looking forward to that, and
It's a
hopefully by
lifetime
then,
away.
Amazon Prime will have fixed their user interface. Like, I
Yes.
literally find myself not watching stuff on Amazon because it's so painful to be on their site. Like, what is
They're-
happening?
No,
They have
got
more
you.
money than God.
Exactly. They
I
just
will say
figure,
they've
hey,
gotten better over time, though. They have gotten
Yeah.
so much better over time.
What is
No,
up with that
no.
font choice?
hey.
What are they doing? What are they doing over there?
They
Amazon.
figured they
Who's their
got you
font
already, bro.
person?
They got you already. They're like, nah, we don't have to do anything because we got them.
This is
them.
true.
Yeah, we got
This
you. You're a
is
Prime
true.
member. As long as you pay that renewal fee, you're good to go. We don't care about this interface.
Yeah.
Whereas like an Apple TV or the Apple TV Plus, that channel is just pristine. That
It's
is
clean.
a
Yes.
beautiful place to watch movies. It is a beautiful
It's an
place to watch
experience as soon as you
shows.
enter it.
Yeah, they really care about the outcome. And the thing is there are so many people that don't even know how to find those shows that are on there, like Severance, Slow Horses, Bad Monkey.
Severance.
Severance is incredible.
So
Um,
good.
Shrinking is so good.
Oh yeah,
There's
that was a
been
good one.
That's a good one.
I've never seen a show on Apple TV that I didn't love, and so they
This is
really do
true.
care about the the outcome. Now I'm sure there are shows that aren't great, but I just haven't seen them yet. The morning show is
The
fantastic.
morning
So
show is one of my favorite shows, and I highly recommend.
yes,
Highly, highly
highly
recommend.
recommend. So anyway, shout out to Apple TV for caring about the aesthetics, and
That's right.
it
And the
doesn't change the
quality of the
fact.
curation. There you
Yeah,
go.
it doesn't change the
Chris
fact
is
that the
starting.
terminal.
Chris, are you trying to start a fight?
Well, that's what
Right.
I was gonna say this has nothing to
Mm,
do with how good or bad the terminal list is, because the terminal
right.
list is awesome.
Oh
Okay,
yeah,
we're
this is true. And the
just
terminal just stands
talking
on its
about.
own. So
Yeah, it
Yep.
just stands on. We're just talking about Amazon. So you are from Valencia, Venezuela, and believe it
yes.
or not, you are our third Venezuelan
No
guest on this podcast.
way.
Believe it or not, because we've had
That's
Zaire Montes on here, and
amazing.
we've had a few different people. So tell us about your journey from there to being in the industry. What was
In
that
the
like? When
industry.
did you make that decision?
You know what? I mean, this is gonna sound so cliche, but like my first memory of knowing that I wanted to be in entertainment was watching classical movies growing up, like Grease, The Sound of Music, and so many more. Like, and I would watch it on replay probably every day. I mean, um, yeah, and I would also reenact scenes as they were happening with costume changes. So
Yeah.
like this was in me from very, very little. And my mom, actually I would say both of my parents had a love for film as well. And so I think it was just destined to be that way.
Were they
But
in film, or were they just did they just have a lot of
no,
movies that
nobody,
they?
yeah, nobody in our family comes from film or anything, but we are film and storytelling lovers, I guess you would say. Um, Also from Venezuela, I moved out of Venezuela. We left Venezuela when I was 6 or 7 years old, and then we moved to Florida, Miami, Florida, where I grew up.
What was the
Um,
catalyst behind that move?
at the time, I think Chavez was newly in power, or at the height of like, okay, this is not going anywhere great. And we were all
Hmm.
about that American dream and
Yeah,
getting out of there. And it was the best decision ever, of course, because at the time, and things progressively have gotten worse over the years, as I'm sure everyone knows, but within the near past, it's gotten somewhat better because so many people have left the country. But
yeah.
I mean, uh, you can throw a rock to any Venezuelan and they've been assaulted in any type of way, shape, or form multiple times. It's just very common.
Mm.
So it's just, a matter of this isn't the life for us. And also, America is a land of opportunity.
100%. I think
Yes, I love
most
it.
people don't know that in Central America and in South America, you have this very tightly connected network of despots that is,
Yes,
they all know each other, and which
yes.
is remarkable. And I've been down in Honduras, I've been in Guatemala, I've been in Mexico. Um, and you sort of start to understand how you can maintain that power, and it's sort of starting to break apart. I have a friend that's Argentinian, and she was talking about Malay and saying, "Well, Malay's a cult of personality, but he's better than a." you
I
you
mean,
know,
this is true.
yeah. And then there's the
Yeah.
guy that there's another guy that's I think he's in maybe Colombia. I can't remember where he is, but he's kind of like a Malay type. I
Okay.
can't remember if that's where he is or if he's in Ecuador. I can't remember. Anyway, I think this circle of despots is starting to break apart a little bit,
So
right?
we hope. Yep.
So we hope.
Yeah.
And in Mexico, just
So we hope.
female, I think.
Yes, Mexico.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
she's supposed to be great. Now, what's fascinating about her is she's kind of like you, where she's like from there, grew up there, but is at least half Jewish.
Oh, that's amazing.
it has I think her dad is like, she's got a Jewish last name, but she's completely
Okay.
Hispanic. Like she's like a
Yeah.
Hispanic lady. It's very fascinating. I don't know that background at all. And I don't
Yeah.
know, everyone tells me, oh, you should be afraid because the cartels run everything down there. And I'm like, well, I think it's kind of breaking apart a little bit, or at least they're
It is
figuring out how to make a society out of it.
100%. I mean, this was true for so many years, so many years. But I think, unfortunately, for those Latin countries, they have started to migrate out of them, but not so fortunate for, the United States, for example, like what happened in Colorado recently, doesn't make us look very good, unfortunately.
Well, I think so. I always tell people you have to verify this stuff.
Absolutely.
I think the videos that were shared online were not
It's only
accurate.
half a story. Yes.
Yeah,
It's only half a story.
it's a lie by omission.
Yes.
It's the kind of lie you tell your significant other, Nick.
Yeah, but remember, it's not how some people behave. Remember, it's not, like how some people behave doesn't define how a culture or a race of people behaves as well.
Yeah.
So we got to
Thank
make
you
sure
for saying that.
we put that defining line in there.
100%, Nick.
Absolutely.
Like what?
And so much of those lines are just, let's be honest, they're clickbait.
Yep.
Yeah. Yeah.
You got it.
Yeah. If you see rumble.com underneath the video, don't click it. It's clickbait. It's clickbait. Don't go. Don't go there. They tricked you.
Sure.
They just got a view off of you. Don't do it.
But we're glad that you made it out and you're here and you spent that
Yes.
time in Miami. And I think, to kind of expound or just add on what Chris was saying. So what grabbed you? What happened in Miami that said, okay, let's take the love that you have for this art and actually put you in it? Like that's not everyone can make that jump. I know my son would love to be in the next John Wick movie. You know what I'm saying? It's like
Your son should not be watching John Wick.
He wants to so bad. He's 13.
What the hell are you talking about?
Bro,
They
he
kill
wants to
1,000
so
people
bad.
a minute.
A minute. I know. I've been trying
in
not
the
to
most
get him
gruesome
to watch
ways.
But listen. I'm gonna take it back to Catherine, but I'm gonna say that I'm gonna watch a couple movies with him from when I was younger that we watched to get him an appreciation for story, and then we'll go there. Then we'll
story.
Go. But anyway, yeah, what got you into? Like, how did you get into it?
How did I get into it? Well, I started, my first gig ever was doing a voiceover for Nickelodeon, a radio commercial, and I did a Children's International Day, and it was in English and Spanish, and I really liked it. And I remember being a little too young, and like my parents, I think, probably were like, well, we're gonna wait a while. And it wasn't until I was in my teenage years that they put me in modeling, and in my modeling workshops, there was also a crossover of acting workshops, and I developed a love for both, absolutely for both. So it wasn't till I graduated high school that I started pursuing acting more, though I did theater throughout school. And I actually had some really almost life-changing auditions in my teen years. I auditioned for the first Spider-Man. Nice. I didn't go anywhere, but I did audition. I was auditioning for Univision, which is a very, very popular Latin American hub, and it was for a teen novela, and I ended up auditioning for it for one of the leads. I got the role, and then that same summer, the teen division shut down because of a scandal. And I was very devastated, obviously.
Yeah, for sure.
But I also always think like that would have been such an interesting path to go down, to do novella. I mean, I would have loved to make my Latin people proud and do novellas. But ultimately, I'm glad of the path that I'm on now.
Do you have any
and then it wasn't
about that scandal? Nick, you're going to ask that? Go ahead and ask it.
Well, exactly. That was my thing, is that like, I mean, we don't have to get to the full details, but like you said,
or we can.
It sounds, well, I was going to say, but it sounds like it worked out the way that it was supposed to. Because honestly, the nature of that scandal, sexual harassment, allegations.
Yep.
That's not a small thing, right? So
did you
actually have any conversations with people that you might have been working with or that you engaged with that told you about their actual experiences through that?
No, I was very far removed. Like I was super fresh into the industry, and my mom and my agent would handle everything.
Okay.
And at the time, I didn't understand much, and I think just the fact that like the whole project got called off, any information that was given to me afterwards, in one ear out the other. I was just so
Yeah.
devastated about that because for
Got
me,
it.
I was like, I'm about to have my big break, you
Yeah.
know. But later on, I did learn more about it, and it did involve a minor who was assaulted. But at the time, the headlines were so unfair to her. They treated her like she was the villain, but not post Me Too days, you know.
Right.
Which
Wow.
I'm so glad that, you know, a lot of light was shed on her situation.
It seems like a lot of light is being shed on a lot of situations lately. I don't know if it's a coincidence or
I
if there's been
know.
a sort of a decision at the highest levels of government and law enforcement to crack down on a certain type of behavior within industries.
It's
But
about time.
yes, exactly, and but it seems like it's happening one after the other. Like you got
Mm-hmm.
the Kevin Spacey documentary, you got the Nickelodeon documentary. Of course, before that there was Epstein. You got
Mm-hmm.
now you're getting Diddy,
And Chris
Puff
Brown.
Right.
Daddy, whatever. Oh, I don't know if I don't know a lot about the Chris Brown thing, but like here's the deal. That is all happening one after the other. You have I should also mention like in the middle of all that you have Cat Williams, who's sitting on Shannon Sharp's podcast saying
It's coming.
2024 all lies will be exposed. How did he know that?
Whoa. Whoa.
Yeah, man.
How did he know that? And you know, there's a lot of there's so much talk about it. You almost have to mute it so you can have an intelligent thought about it. I don't know. Do you see a connection in any of your experiences to kind of what you're seeing today in terms of these allegations that seem to be happening back to back to back and all around either or sexual assault or that stuff?
I mean, there definitely has to be a connection. And to me, it's like where there's smoke, there's fire, right?
Mm-hmm.
But I will say I am very glad for the people who are coming forward about any wrong that's been done to them or their past trauma, and you know, having some justice brought to that, because I've been through personal trauma as well, and for some people it takes years to come forward about it, and for some people they would rather just not bring it up at all. So I think shedding light on these things is the only thing that's going to make a difference for situations like this to stop occurring, or, you know, demotivate people with ill intentions to not move forward with whatever intentions they have.
Yeah, 100%. It's so fascinating too. I think there has to be some really super connected journalists. I majored in journalism. I feel like the journalism I was taught is dying, but there must be someone out there doing traditional journalism, because I don't know where all these leaked videos are coming from. I don't know how they're able to get them and pull them out and then share them.
And some of them are from the dark web as well. Am I right?
Yeah. Yeah, some of these are maybe like Wikipedia types, not Wikipedia, WikiLeaks types of organizations that are grabbing data and saying, I have this, and if you don't pay my ransom, I'm just going to release it. And
Yeah.
we've seen a real influx of that, even outside of the allegation stuff.
Yeah.
We've seen a huge influx of that over the last 5 years. Go ahead, Nick.
Yeah. I was just going to say that Katherine, kind of hit the nail on the head, for me about the opportunity that people have now to speak up. And really what it comes down to is it comes down to safety. If you feel that you have a safe space to speak up, then you speak up, because what's happening now, what you're seeing is Diddy's under arrest. Diddy's in prison, right? The demon that is hurt so many people is now behind bars. That's their thing. They're like, now I feel as though I'm safe enough to speak up. You never know what these, like you mentioned earlier, despots and other people are holding over people so that they don't speak up. And now that they feel like, no, he's behind bars. He can't touch me. He can't touch my family. Now I'm going to say something. And you
Mm-hmm.
would hope, you would wish, you would desire that that safe space didn't have to wait for someone to be arrested, but maybe it's just comfort from your
Absolutely.
community, right? Or other people coming to the, to the forefront with their stories. So if it takes
Absolutely.
someone going behind bars, great. But hopefully we can just wrap our arms around the people in our community and give them that safe space to speak up and
Yes.
let us know.
Perfectly said. Absolutely.
Can I tell a Eve story? You guys remember the musician, the rapper Eve?
Oh yeah, you say
Yeah.
remember, she's still doing her thing.
Yeah.
You're right.
So this conversation reminds me of when I met Eve on Music Row, and I was doing some studio work at EMI, which is like a competitor to BMI and all these other NASCAP and everything else. But they have a studio in there. We were recording, and I was in a singing group at the time, and we were taking a break from vocals. And who was in the parking lot? Eve. Now here's the thing: Paris Hilton gets credit for this trend, but Eve was doing it, and I'm a witness to it. She was doing it before
Amazing.
Paris Hilton. She had a dog in a bag for fashion. So, so she's walking around with her little purse.
Iconic.
By the way, there's a hilarious video of producer Papa Bear doing this, and we should post it for fun. But having a dog in a bag was something I feel like Eve started at your expense, only with your permission. But I feel like she started it. So she's walking around Music Row in Nashville, where all the music happens, with a dog in a purse, and we're like, Eve, because she was at the height of her powers when we were doing this. Is
Mhm.
like 2003, 2002. This was a long time ago, and we were telling her our dreams and our aspirations. We were so naive and so green and just out of our element. And she's like, "Well, follow me to the studio where Stevie is." I said, Stevie J." Stevie J is one of the hottest producers at the time. And she's like, yeah, because they were dating. And so we go into this big, beautiful studio. This studio had 2 grand pianos in it. It was a giant place, giant
Wow.
board. This is before you were totally using a digital workstation for everything.
Laptop.
Just giant board. And there was Stevie J sitting there, and he goes, "Sing for me." And so he sang. We did a terrible job, and then we were quickly ousted out of the studio, and we were just nervous. We're like, oh, we didn't do as good as we should have done. And then, but Eve followed us, and she was very sweet. And we were like, she was like, "Who are your musical influences?" We're like, Boyz II Men and Jodeci, which would have been a very
Oh, Boys
typical
to
answer at the
Men.
time.
Yeah. Yep.
And she's like, oh, okay. And we asked, was Jodeci gonna release any new albums? Because Jodeci was very close with Diddy and Bad Boy and Andre Harrell, who was Diddy's mentor. And we asked about that, and she said something that's always stuck with me. She said, "Yes, if Devontae can get off of heroin." and so
Wow.
the whole thing is that this culture and what Diddy calls the lifestyle, it's been going
Yeah.
on since the 80s, late 80s, early 90s.
Oh yeah.
And it started with his mentor, Andre Harrell, who taught him how to be a mogul. And now he's taught so many others how to be a mogul, how to be an artist, how to be in the lifestyle. What does it mean to be a musician? And
Right.
it's self-perpetuating, you know?
Yeah,
And so now you have to
that's a
have a
crazy
whole,
Eve story.
I know. And now you have to have a whole new generation where the next mogul has to be so different from him
Yes.
that becomes self-perpetuating. That no
Right.
longer to get a music contract, you have to sell off your publishing, give away your publishing rights, as well as your morals.
Yeah.
And if, how do we perpetuate that, Nick? You know?
Well, that's a very good question, and I think that it's like you put this one behind bars and make a statement, and you hope that the
Yes.
next, right, you hope that the next people coming through. So and Catherine mentioned it as well. It's like we're in a different culture. Like Me Too has happened, right? Everything
Yep.
changed because of that, and I think we know that you can get caught
There's
on
no
cell
more
phone.
tolerance.
Exactly. We're not dealing with that anymore, and
Mm-hmm.
we're seeing that in social media. We're seeing that on television. We're seeing that through people being arrested, and you're seeing again, you mentioned several documentaries about this, where it's like, yeah, we're not tolerating this behavior anymore, and I'm hopeful, especially for people like Catherine who are deep in the business, that she doesn't have to deal with this nonsense, right? And I'm
Yeah.
hopeful that you don't. That's not an experience that you've had since
Not
you've
an
been in the
experience I've had
business?
in the industry, thank
Good,
goodness.
Knock on
good.
wood. Thankful. And I am curious about how you manage your family and this career. Can you talk to some of the audience that want to get into the industry, are striving to
Yes.
make it, striving to be actors, actresses in this business? What are the sacrifices they should be prepared to make from a family standpoint? And you can say as much as
Yeah.
or as little as you want
Yeah.
to be able to make it and to be able to pursue it in earnest.
Okay, first of all, I love that you asked this question because I think it's so important to know how it can work for somebody. I always say the formula for everyone is always different, right? But if my formula can work for somebody else, then that's amazing. And that's our formula. We had to navigate ourselves because everyone from all of our friends in the industry who had made it far enough were all single, or they were single parenting. And so in a way they had if they had the luxury of like switching off with their co-partner, their co-parent, where for us, we didn't know what we were doing. And we didn't know what we were doing at all. The other thing too is there's a few factors here, right? Because we don't have anyone, we're not related to anyone that has industry experience or footing. And when we first started, we were living in my in-laws' basement. Like, my husband and I were newlyweds. We quickly found out that we were pregnant, and a lot of our plans had fallen through because it was just beyond us. Like, at the time, we were living in Utah, and at the time, believe it or not, there wasn't a lot of family housing. There was either student housing or people who could afford to buy houses. And we didn't want to live in student housing, and we couldn't afford to buy a house. So we had found this one building complex that had renters, one family of renters they had told us like, hey, we're about to move because we are going to start building our home. So we were like, okay, awesome. And it was like, we got married in August, and they were like, we'll be ready to move out by October. We're like, perfect. So we come back from our honeymoon, and they were like, actually, we're not going to move anymore. So we're like, cool, we are living in my in-laws' place right now. And I'm like, what's our plan? And then both of our cars were totaled within 2 weeks.
No
Mine,
way.
yes. So let me start over. My husband's car was totaled 2 weeks before we got married, and it was just an old car that we drove it to its finish, right?
Mm-hmm.
And the day after we got married, my car got totaled. Like, these are the type of cars that we could afford at the time, right? It's just whatever can take you from point A to point B. And it was just this freak accident. And so we left to our honeymoon knowing we weren't coming back to cars. We came back from our honeymoon to find out we don't have an apartment to go to. And then shortly after found out that we were pregnant. So odds were stacked against us.
Yeah.
My husband breaks into the industry first, and within the year, we're like, okay, we can do this. We can move out. We can get our own place. We moved from Utah to Georgia, and then the next 5 years after that were me concentrating on our family and my husband concentrating on building his career. So it was very clear that it was, even though we were both pursuing our career very, very passionately and hard before we got married, we very quickly were like, okay, well, I'm the one who's pregnant now, so I will take a backseat while you navigate where we're going next. And that, to be honest, was a hard sacrifice for me at first because I've always been very career driven and very goal oriented. So it was a very stark change. Like, right before we got married, I had an online magazine. I had created a blogging network in Utah, and I was modeling helped pay the bills. Okay. And then I got pregnant, so things changed.
Right.
So then like realizing like, okay, I am the stay-at-home parent now. That was a very contrasting, life-changing, lifestyle to get used to. And so, like I said, I feel like I'm like, what's the word?
Recalling all the
I'm
details.
ranting. Yeah, I'm recalling all this. It's all coming back to me.
Tell us the story. Tell us the story.
Yeah,
We're good.
You got time.
Yep.
So fast forward to, okay, we're 5 years in. We have 2 kids. Once my littlest one hit 2 years old, I kind of felt like, okay, I'm ready to get myself back out there. I start hitting the gym hard. I knew that I wanted to feel good about myself, have a healthy lifestyle, be able to keep up the way I used to before. And so it was a conversation that I had with my husband, and he was very supportive from the very beginning, like of my career, and I was always supportive of his career. So it was a conversation that had to happen, and a conversation that had to continuously happen. Like, what is the plan? This is what I want to do. How do we make it happen? Okay. So then I started with getting back into acting classes. As an actor, you always want to be in acting classes. And with him, it was just like, okay, what jobs can I pass up on if you have an opportunity? Or how can I serve the home when I'm at home? Or how can I serve the home when I'm at work? So really, it's like, it's this crazy balance of teamwork, because I always think that if your life is situated at home, then you are setting yourself up for the best chances of success outside the home. But if your home is chaos, like if I don't have somebody to take care of my kids, or if he's working and I'm sick, or we double booked ourselves, whatever the scenario may be, like we have to be prepared to put our family first. And by putting our family first, that has really been what has set us up for success, like I said. Is this making sense?
Yeah, you built a foundation. Yeah,
Yes,
at home.
yeah.
Like you said, it is
Yeah,
the
yeah, yeah.
foundation for how, because we talk about this, and Chris knows kind of like my mantra of many, right? It's like how you do one thing is how you do anything, right? And
Yeah,
that's
yes.
it. It's how you do what you do at home, who you are as a human being, who you are to
Yeah.
others, right? Because that's the closest relationship that you have.
Yeah.
Who you are to that person, then you extend that out into the world. I think it's really interesting when you mentioned like taking a back seat to each other's dreams. And it's just interesting, like when you get into this space where you're both booked, what kind of conversation is that, where it's like you can only take one, right? How do you decide which one to take?
Well, luckily this has only started happening recently, and we were able to figure it out. But I also want to mention that we don't live around family anymore. So we don't have that luxury of like, well, let's call grandma or grandpa, or let's call my sister, my brother, his sister, his brother to take care of the kids. So within our finances, we had to make the decision of, okay, we need to be able to afford childcare. And childcare has looked differently for us so many times. Sometimes it's been a daycare and a nanny, or just a nanny, or just a daycare, and friends who help out. Though, like, as a personal rule, I try not to like burden other moms, and I think too, it's just for us, it is a sacrifice that has made all the difference, having nannies and having childcare. So, which I think it's important to mention too, as a woman, because I do get this question a lot, like, well, how do you do this? And how do you stay fit? And how do you find time to go to the gym? And how do you find it takes a village. So you just have to find your village.
That's right.
But on top of that, or most importantly, like I said, it starts in the home. And I just want to stress that it started with a conversation, and it's always an ongoing conversation of, how do we do this? How does this work for us? Actually, this isn't working for me anymore, or this hasn't been working for a while. We need to change this, and we need to change X, Y, Z, and now we need to do this. Or I need you to see if you can take this next one off, because I would like to take a shot at this one, And primarily right now it's always like, well, what's going to keep a roof over our heads before anything? And then second of all is like, who is this going to benefit more? Because I feel like we try to be as fair as possible, you know? It's like, well, this one's a bigger opportunity. You should take that one. Like, actually, this one's going to help my career right now.
Which is not the same as the paycheck.
Exactly. Well, and I think too, like, sacrifices look different for a mom versus a dad when the mom is the one who is the one staying at home, and vice versa. You know, whoever's the person that's staying at home or whoever's working, just the balance is different and the sacrifices are different. So for him, his sacrifices are giving up a job sometimes, you know, and for me, the sacrifice has been like, you know, I took a backseat for a while to help you grow or watch you grow or support you grow.
Yeah.
So,
you know, it reminds me,
it's just a tricky
Nick,
little balance.
It
reminds
is,
me,
but
Nick,
it starts
of,
with communication.
Yes.
Former guest Jenica Schwartzman. Shout out to Jenica Schwartzman. And one of the things she advocates for, and I think she even wrote a book about it, was making sets a safe place for children. So mothers that are actors, actresses can bring their kids to set and know that they're going to get good care, be able to do their homework. And so many sets are not set up for this, and the producers haven't considered it. And she's a massive advocate for this. Has there been any sets where you've been able to bring your kids on set?
Yes. Starting with the Terminalist, they are so family friendly, and that's made such a world of a difference for us. It makes it awesome. It makes it enjoyable, and it just makes it so much easier, right? Because if we miss dad and he's been on set for nonstop for a whole week, then like, you know what, let's pop into set and say hi. Or if like, hey, I need to be on set and dad is also on set and nanny can only stay here for so long. It's like, all right, we'll just bring him to set, you know? So that totally makes a difference. But while we're on this, I have told Chris, I've challenged him. I don't know if the opportunity will show up like here.
Just for the audience, she means Chris, her husband, not me.
Yeah, right.
Yes. Oh, yes. My husband's name is Chris.
That's right.
I always tell him like if by chance like our sitters can't or the timing is just not right, and it's like, well, I want to be able to take this shot while you're working. I'm like, tell them you'll take the kids to set, because I dare say that most men don't have that situation, but women or most fathers don't have that situation, but moms are traditionally the main caretakers in most situations. Not, I don't want to like paint a blank canvas, right? But in most situations, moms are the main caretaker. And in this industry, like that is so tricky because it's a man's world. So here I am planting that fathers can take their kids to set, and it's totally normalized outside of the Terminalist as well.
Nick,
it's good advice.
It feels like good advice, and it reminds me honestly of my own marriage, right? Like my youngest daughter, my wife, and Nick, I don't know if you have a story that's similar to this. Please share it if you do. But my wife wanted to not work when we had our third and final child. This is in 2007 and or 8 at the time, and I'm like, okay, fine, yeah, cool, you can totally, like, let's do it. She goes, I want to raise this kid. We're just like you, Katherine. Like, we started really modest and built something, right?
Yeah.
And it was like, okay, let's raise the third one better than the first two. like let's
that could be so good and so bad.
That's the natural progression.
Yeah, let's do it the way we like, everything top shelf, right? Like, let's do it. And that required her, in her mind, for her to focus on my youngest daughter and be at home and stop working. Now, here's the deal. She's just like you, A-type personality. That lasted for such a short period of time. She could not stand being at home, not because she didn't like mothering, she loves that, but because she couldn't stand not being in the mix, being relevant, being like influencing outcomes.
Something outside the home.
Yes,
that's right.
Absolutely. So when you said that, I just thought, oh my God, I know that story. I know exactly what that's like. Nick, do you have something similar or no?
No, I make my wife work. I'm playing. I'm playing.
Wow.
I'm playing. No. Unfortunately, no. I would have loved it for my wife to have that opportunity to take a break from things and focus. But we weren't in a position to do that. And I think that, to your point, Chris, I think she's also, my wife is a nurse, and it's just part of who she is to take care of other people. So I
Yep.
think that was the one thing. I will say this, though: thing that she did do was she got out of the military when we
Mhm.
decided to have children.
Oh.
So that was a break that she needed in order to focus on the kids and me. I get jealous a little bit in the
Yeah.
military. You know what I'm
Focus
saying?
on me a
That
little
time
bit.
she's spending,
I'm a
focus
person
on me.
too. I have
That's
needs.
right. I have needs,
Make me a bottle.
But yes, that's all I got. But yeah, she did take a break from that to focus, and of course, yeah, like for you, Chris, and for you, Catherine, I'm sure that it worked out to the best, right? We made the right decision.
Yeah,
Yep, we're
it's
just
what you
trying our
said.
best here.
Well, it's
That's
what you
right.
said, Catherine. It's keeping the conversation going. That's what
Yep.
makes it work.
Yes.
It's like it's not you don't reach the destination. It's an ongoing thing.
Chris, you gotta stop for a second, man.
Okay.
Check it. I just gotta stop this for a second and just gotta say that I just wanted to honor one of the parts of our credo. Okay. Now I know that our whole show does this, but right now I wanted to honor the be better part of our credo.
Okay.
Is that cool? Can we do
That's
this real
cool. Let's
quick?
do it. Yeah.
Okay. So I think that new filmmakers are always dealing with some sort of existential crisis. Is
Hmm.
that fair?
Those are the worst kind of crises.
Crises. So, so the crisis that I'm thinking about right now is this idea. Okay, I'm going to read this a
Okay.
little bit. It says, "How do I get hired without having experience, and how do I get experience without getting hired?" Like that is the conversation all the time. It seems, especially when you go to like film festivals, you're in panels. That is what the conversation always is. So, how do we address that?
Well, there's a few ways to address it. And it goes
Mm.
beyond film. There's a lot of people that have this existential crisis. But if you are a filmmaker, you can fix this in one way that just comes right to the top of my mind. And it's the Film Crew Technology Program at Columbia State Community College on the Franklin, Tennessee campus. Now, I've been to this campus. This campus is not like a normal community college. This is like
Okay.
beautiful and sprawling, and everything is brand new. They do a great job there, but they provide the experience, the training, the knowledge to allow you to just step right into the entertainment workforce and continue in higher education or both, even. So you can go there for some other major and still be part of the film crew technology program, or you can just go there and do film. So the technology certificate allows you to work in the industry while you're getting your degree. So that means they do job placement while you're still in school. So that's huge. So that answers
That's
part of that question, at least, right?
Yeah, that's awesome, man. Like that's exactly the type of stuff that I think our people need. So you said a lot. Like I know that school's it sounds awesome. I'm like, hey, I could go hang out there.
Yeah.
But let's get to the specifics. So like what kind of training do they provide there?
Well, first of all, this is some below the line stuff that you're learning to do so you can be placed. And look, I'll just tell you, as a producer, as producers, we know that not being ready on set, which has a lot to do with your training, your skill set, your speed, actually, tear down, put back up, company moves. That is so important where you went to school to learn how to do that. Are you effective right away? Can we count on you? And so here's some of the training: safety and etiquette training,
Okay.
pre-production training, production training, post-production training, delivery. And so they really train at Columbia State University Community College from pre to post film crew technology. They train below the line workers. These are your gaffers, your grips, your best boys, all that stuff, your lighting, your wiring, you name it. They really train them in the tools of their trade. So here's some of the equipment they have. Now this is the thing that makes this so legit. They
And people get
have
excited about this stuff, man. Like this is where people really get excited. It's like I can get the training, but what you got? What are we using? What are we playing with?
well, yeah, I've been in their cinema world, and they have a lot of stuff. So they have an Ari Alexa 35, and it's loaded to a 3-ton grip truck,
Oh,
for
nice.
example. They have sound recording to pre and post production computer lab. film, crew, delivery, hands-on experience. So there's a ton of training there, and you're training with state-of-the-art equipment.
Dude, that's awesome. I mean, that's exactly the kind of experience that people would want. But I got to ask that other question. I know I'm dropping questions on you because I know you got the knowledge.
There's a lot of questions.
There's a lot of questions. I'm just saying, existential crisis, brother. So the next question is, they got any financial aid or scholarships for my people out there, man? It's always, every little bit helps. That's all I gotta say.
So you're poor.
No, look, people just need a hand from time to time.
No, I'm kidding. I've used financial aid.
That's
Shout
right.
out to Pell Grants. And by the way,
100%.
Columbia State Community College does come with some financial aid and some help. So here's the deal. Columbia State Community College is accredited by the Southern Association of Colleges and Schools. And in addition, financial aid is available for those who qualify. So you're in good shape, Nick. You're good to go. You qualify for this. It includes the TN Promise and TN Reconnect programs. So again, this is a campus in Tennessee. It's sprawling. It's beautiful. You don't have to live here to go there. We just want to let everybody know. Enrollment begins each fall semester. Space is limited. Now, this is the key. I was gonna ask, you want that experience. You want that experience. You're having this existential crisis, but you have to act fast. You got to do something for yourself too. And that is what the film industry is all about. It's about putting your head down, going to work, doing something for yourself. So don't wait. There's 20 students each year. They only take in 20. So you need to apply right now. So for more information, you can reach out to friend of the podcast and our friend as well in our personal lives, David Smith. He's the FCT program director. That's the Film Crew Tech program director. You can call him. What a bold man. He is going to let you call him. 615-790-4410. Again, reach out to David Smith, the FCT program director, 615-790-4410. You can email him if I know the young folks today, Nick, they don't call anybody. They don't talk on the phone.
Folks today.
All right, so let's get an email address going.
Yeah.
david.smith@columbiastate.edu. Columbia is spelled COLUMBIA state.edu. And if you just want to, if you're already convinced, if me and Nick have already sold you, just go straight to the website, www.columbiastate.edu/FCT. Again, that's www.columbiastate.edu/FCT. And when you get there, click on Film Crew Application. Remember, slots are limited. There's only 20 spots. Go do that right now. www.columbiastate.edu/FCT. And now, back to the show. Katherine,
yeah, absolutely.
Is it cool if we do some polls?
Yeah, for sure.
Let's do some polls.
What you got for me?
Before we do some polls with intern Sam, some quick housekeeping. Van Zell-Burke, episode number 337. Originally released on May 2nd, 2023. So go check that out. That's episode 337. So you can find that in our back catalog. And then the young lady who is the lead in Bob Trevino Likes It, which everyone should watch, especially if you like your heart ran over by a tractor. Her name is her name is Barbie Ferreira. Barbie Ferreira, and she is unbelievable. And so shout out to Barbie. You did a really wonderful job, and I think that you are the future a little bit here, along with Katherine. So
she was great in Note as well. Jordan Peele. Yeah. She's really good in that.
Just absolutely. All right, Sam, lay your poll on us.
Okay.
Oh man.
So I have two polls.
Lay your polls on us.
No, that's
okay. There we go.
That's
That's better. That's better. All right. Yeah. So, the second one's a bit more of a topic. So we'll start with the shorter one. But which fashion movie is the most iconic? Now, I'm very proud of how this one went.
Okay.
I was very surprised. I think this is a win here. Number one was Zoolander at 46%.
Yes.
I thought that was a huge win.
All day, so let's proud. Go. Blue Steel.
This is great.
Blue Steel.
I can't turn left.
Trailing behind is Devil Wears Prada at 39%.
That's when Katherine won.
That's the second one.
Yes.
See? Nope. Sorry, Katherine. Zoolander all the way.
Listen, I love Ben Stiller, but like, come on.
Hey, come on. Merman.
It's so good.
Blue Steel.
Devil Wears Prada is a better movie.
Hey, yeah. I mean, come on. Go ahead, Sam. What's number 3?
Just saying the facts.
Okay. Number 3 and number 4 were tied, which I thought was kind of weird. Because I think there's a pretty big quality gap here. But respectively, Phantom Thread and House of Gucci, both with 8%.
House of Gucci.
Okay.
But low if you think about it. Both with 8%.
Yeah, for sure.
You're talking.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Adam Driver, very underrated in House of Gucci.
I agree. Very
he
underrated.
is so good in that, and because there was Sam, who else was in that beside him? There was somebody else.
It's got Jared Leto.
Yes. Stop right there. Jared Leto's character was he made such a eccentric choice in how he played that character
with the Italian accent.
Yeah, it seriously, Catherine, it actually hurt the movie for a lot of people.
Yeah,
and they weren't able to focus on Lady Gaga and
they thought he went
Adam
over
Driver's
the top.
Performance. Yeah, he pulled a Benicio del Toro from Usual Suspects.
Okay. I can slightly agree now that I'm remembering. Yes.
But
Lady Gaga
it's
did
unfortunate.
amazing.
She was amazing.
Yes. I mean, she was okay. I mean, if you got to think about it, right, on the scale of acting here. You've got these actors that you mentioned, and they're in here, right? They're in this area here. If you're
so
listening
for the people
podcast,
just listening,
exactly. I'm in the middle area.
Okay,
but if you're talking about a Ben Stiller, okay,
right?
You're talking
on the same wavelength. Nick. Will Ferrell, Ben Stiller.
Going with this?
He is. Here's the thing: people will remember Zoolander longer than they'll remember Meryl Streep in Devil Wears Prada.
Yeah,
so
but
there is some balance there. Okay, Sam, give us your next poll. Okay. This one's the long poll.
Yeah, this one's more interesting. So this is polling the audience. So this is assuming the audience is not. We're gonna move past it. This is assuming the audience is not experts on this topic. So this is relatively uninformed. But the poll was, which do you think is more difficult, voice acting or traditional acting?
Oh, this is a Katherine Rowe question.
That's right, special.
For sure.
Yep.
Pretty resounding.
Hold on, before you say it, Sam, Katherine, what do you think? Which one do you think? Do you think which one's more difficult?
I think voice acting is a lot more difficult. Not from experience.
Okay, so Sam, what are you thinking? What do you think? What did the polls say?
So the polls say voice acting is more difficult. 70% voted that voice acting is more difficult. So resounding.
That's a blowout.
Yeah,
that's
I thought that was interesting.
So Katherine, what makes it more difficult?
I think so first example that comes to mind is voiceover, right?
Okay.
I've done a few voiceover things, and sometimes the setup in voiceover, like I've done voiceover in a van because that was what, we needed. We didn't have time to drive to a studio or blah, 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 or set actor was on this stage and we needed the director to be here, blah, 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 whatever, like all these different things that don't come together and you're like, all right, well, we're going to do your lines on a van. Like, okay. Versus like going into a studio where I feel like you would have a little bit more like environment, to me, I kind of see it. Yes, context. Exactly. To me, I kind of see it like green screen acting. It's like you really have to use your most creative tools.
Yeah.
Pull some voice acting, but not only that, but there's so much more to voice acting as well. Like there's projection and like how you want to sound. There's so many techniques to voice acting that I think if you're not seasoned or you don't have like the lingo down to it, it can be so distracting from actually acting. It's just it just feels like heavy lifting for I don't know what. I don't know.
And well, when you're doing it, are you doing your voice or do you do other voices? Are you changing your voice for your
in my
characters?
experience, I have done my voice. But then the other thing too, it's like when they ask you like, okay, now say it with this inflection, and I'm just saying my lines and I have no one else to, go off of.
Oh yeah.
Then I don't feel like what I am giving is as genuine, and maybe that's not how it might come across, as the final product, and one is super self-critical. But those are the ones that I'm always like, oh, well, I hope they like what we got,
Wow. Yeah. Well, Chris, you gotta set me up now. Give me a scenario, man. I'm gonna try my chops real quick. You ready?
Okay.
Give me a scenario.
Okay. I would like for you to do Bane.
Well, I'm not gonna do. Again, don't tell me the voice. I have the voice
purchasing-
already. No, you gotta tell me what I'm doing.
I wanted you to do.
Yeah,
I wanted you to do Bane at the grocery store.
No. I got a different voice
Okay.
for that. But what
Now
am I
the audience will want to hear Bane at the grocery store.
I do Bane
Okay.
another time. What do you got?
Okay. You are buying veggie bacon for the first time, and you've only been used to pork bacon, traditional bacon, up to this point, and you want to know from the clerk what the differences are and how it tastes.
Oh my goodness.
And action.
Oh, how you doing? Sir, would you please just come and talk to me for a second? Just 1 second. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to bother you. I'm just here I gotta get this bacon. My daughter, she doesn't eat the meat. I don't know why she doesn't eat the meat. Pork, beef, chicken, nothing. So I just have to come here and get bacon. She wants veggie bacon. What the heck is that? Is it made of cardboard? I don't know. Is it paper? I don't know. You can't have bacon come from vegetables. Okay, so look, sir, I'm just going here. I don't know which one to pick. Can you tell me? Is it the purple bacon? That's gross. That looks like it's been there for about 37 years. I'm not going to eat that. I don't care what she wants. I don't know. I'm sorry. Am I getting loud? I just get a little defensive when I see nasty bacon. So, sir, if you would just point out the bacon to me, I would love it. Is it that one? No, it can't. I'm not buying it.
Oh man. He nailed that take.
Well,
very good.
Well done, sir. Well done.
Hey, I'll tell you, one of these days.
Can I give you? Can I give you? Yeah, let me give you those claps.
Oh, there you go. Hey. Hey,
congratulations.
One of these days, I'll get a chance to have some fun on a real mic, and make it happen in a movie or a TV show,
I told somebody
Let's
recently,
go.
Nick, that you would just crush at this. Like I was like, it was Maki. I was talking to Maki, Maki Dapp, filmmaker, auteur, friend of the podcast, and I was like, he was like, would Nick do voiceover? I said, dude, he would jump at that opportunity.
Yes.
I said, because he was looking for somebody to hire for one of his commercials. I was like, dude,
man,
call Nick. He
I would
will
love
do the voiceover for your commercial in a heartbeat. So
it just
hopefully
sounds like fun. Very good. Yeah. Well, I'll make sure I don't do that voice. I might throw him off a little bit.
Well, Catherine, he does a lot of voices because I asked her to do Bane in a grocery store.
Yeah, so Catherine was like, what?
Yeah. That's
I was here for that ride.
Excellent. Yeah. Well, thank you for going along with it. I appreciate you guys.
Indeed. And Sam, thank you for sharing your polls with us. Another excellent job, young man.
That's right.
Producer Papa Bear, can you introduce us to some things we should know? And you always have something we really should know.
Well, yeah.
You bat 1,000 on this.
That's right.
Well,
we don't.
Maybe. Yeah, I don't know if
we don't. No, we bat. We bat. Like what?
12.
1%. 12%.
Right.
1%.
Anyway. Yeah. Anyway.
All right.
Catherine's going to do great on this stuff. Yeah.
Hit us with and you know that I try to tailor it to the guest.
Mm-hmm.
And so I think she will know this, whereas I think you guys are definitely at a disadvantage. Because, you've already mentioned that your husband is a stunt man, does stunt work. But I noticed in your performer profile, you also do some stunts. Yeah. So my question is, what Venezuelan-born actress who also grew up in Miami is considered the most prominent and awarded Venezuelan stunt actress.
Ooh,
Oh,
he done got us all
You've
with
got a
that one.
competitor.
This is a thing
we're
we
all,
should know,
I
but
think
we
we're all
definitely don't know
students
it.
here.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, yeah.
I would also like to clarify that my experience in stunts, because I have to do my stunt community service here, or like,
Okay.
what is, wait, hold on, let me start.
I fell off of a chair once.
I need to do right by my stunt community. I am
Okay.
surrounded, most of my friends are professional stunt women and men who kick ass in films, and they are the unspoken superheroes. So when I say I can do stunts, like I can do stunts, basic stunts as an actress, that, in my opinion, would serve any actor or actress to know. But I don't kick ass like my fellow stunt people.
Well, we
Fair
have an
enough.
open
Understood.
invitation to any stunt people who would like to be on the show, because we've actually not had a stunt person on the show yet.
Oh,
So
I
we'd
can
love
think
to
of
get
a
there.
few.
Yeah, because we'd
Yeah.
love to get that experience. There's a
Yeah.
there's an Instagram account. It's actually a French stunt academy that I watch, and I share that
Okay.
with my son. And just watching them do what they do, I'm like, bro, did he just fall off that thing and then hit that thing and then flip off that thing and then like get up smiling? Like, what is that even about? Right? It's like, it's
Truly, no.
amazing.
They're cut from a different cloth, absolutely.
Oh yeah, for sure, for sure. All right, Papa Bear,
Okay.
we don't know.
So
the
do we get to know
answer
the
this question.
answer? Yeah.
You know
Yeah.
the worst. Well, you know the worst thing about this question is that if you just make up a name, you could be potentially offensive. Like it gets you.
Don't do it.
gets you-
Don't do it.
gets
Don't
you,
do it.
you just make up what you think is a Venezuelan name,
Right.
and you're like, that was bullshit, Chris.
You're right, right,
I don't.
right.
I really don't. I really don't have a guess for this. This is a tough one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I thought Catherine might know this,
I know.
this person kind of grew up in Miami
what
at
if
the
I
same
do know
time as
them?
you.
I know.
It is Vanessa Mata, Motta,
Okay, I'm writing it
born
down.
in Caracas, but grew up in Miami, but professionally danced ballet her whole life until she moved to LA to act and do stunts.
Amazing.
So, yeah.
Her name
So
does
can you
sound familiar. But
What's
I
her
knew
spell
a
her
lot
last
of
name?
a lot.
It's
Vanessa Mata.
Motta.
Yeah, I knew a
Okay.
lot of people with that last name in Miami, so I'm like trying to think.
You probably know this person.
I'm gonna look them
Yeah.
up now. Like, did we go to high
See?
school together?
You
There
went
you
to
go.
high school with this person, yeah.
You're right.
Speaking
You
of
might have.
Speaking of stunt
But
people,
probably.
PB, you know Tom Cruise, famous for doing many of his own stunts. At least that's what we hear. Catherine can correct us if we're wrong, and she's heard differently. There is a wonderful,
She's not gonna out that, man.
YouTube. Yeah, probably not. There is a wonderful YouTube channel from I think the account is called Burger Fiction. So just like hamburger, Burger Fiction, and they have a video called "Every Tom Cruise Run Ever." And
Oh,
he's
I
just
love those, bro.
it's
Yes,
just
he's always running.
24 minutes of Tom Cruise running in every movie he's ever been in. And there are movies that you wouldn't even expect for him to have run in that he runs in, like A Few Good Men, not Pelican Brief, but the other lawyer one. He's running in all these movies, even in Risky Business he ran.
It's part of his contract.
Exactly.
Yeah, he has to run. And it's unbelievable. Not that running is always a stunt, but
he has a
sometimes he's
style.
running to jump off a cliff.
He's
Yeah,
right.
he has
And
a
he has
running
a
style.
Yeah.
This man, he has set the style for running in film.
Oh,
You don't run like him, you're not doing it right.
Talk to me about that. Expand on that. What do you
right?
show us
with the
what you mean.
hands.
Tell us what you mean by that.
Hands. Yeah.
Can you describe that to us, like
Yeah,
for audio and for video?
She just
Like,
did
is
it.
it
I saw
about-
the hands. They're right there.
Okay, yeah.
Okay.
So for those just listening, Catherine she just kind of mimed running.
The karate hands. The karate hands,
almost-
bro.
Chop the air.
Yeah.
Chop
That's right.
the air vertically.
That's
Yeah.
right.
For a second there, it looked like Dave Chappelle's show Robot Guy.
Yeah,
That was
Robot.
on the Dave Chappelle show, and he's kind of like doing this.
Yeah,
But-
she had
but
it
you kept
down.
it.
Is that you want to keep good posture when you're running, which is so hard when you're trying to run fast. You want to inch forward, right?
Yeah.
But the key is to keep posture and chop the air.
Yeah,
The
and keep
camera
the camera on your
loves the
face.
chopping. That's a great
Keep the
point
camera in your
too.
face. Yeah.
Because
No, but I will say, Tom Cruise, like, he is a legend, and he is a legend for also doing his stunts. He absolutely does do his stunts. I think the only cool insight that I have to this is that there are stunt people that will preview stunts for him solely for the insurance purposes of movies. Like, is this stunt safe? And what are the tools that Tom Cruise would need to complete the stunts? And then Tom Cruise comes in and kicks ass. So.
fascinating.
like
Is
it.
this
Chris,
similar
Chris,
to
they
like
be
when
like-
the king has someone drink his
Okay.
wine before he'll drink it?
Right. Hey, Chris, this is how the studios were like, well, wait a second, that guy just died, so no, we're not going to do that stunt there.
Yeah,
That's not going to work.
Yeah,
So
we're not
that
going to
one's
do that.
not going to work.
You're right.
Well, it looks like
Explosion's not going to work.
it
Stunt
looks
man's
like
dead.
to me that Tom Cruise, as he gets older, he's getting tired of running, and now he's advanced to falling.
Yeah, he's
Like
falling.
you said.
He
just
falls in every
falls
movie.
off-
Great point,
Falls off of things. Yeah.
dude. Mission Impossible. So the last Mission Impossible should have been the best movie of the summer when it came out, and something weird was happening with the sound mix on that. And some of the things that should have blown your face off in IMAX and in Dolby didn't. And it was one of the things I was most frustrated about in all movies from last year, because every Mission Impossible blows your face off from a sound and Foley perspective. They just do. And it matches the action you're seeing on the screen. So imagine this enormous stunt where he is riding a motorcycle off of a cliff and then free falling and parachuting, which there's some BTS video. Everyone should Google that.
Everybody watches that, man. We've all seen it.
Oh,
It's
man.
unbelievable, the
You
fear
can see the
on the
director saying his
director's.
prayers.
Yes,
because he did it
exactly.
6 times. Like, that was the key. Like, this dude
Yeah.
did it 6 times. Like, come on.
Every
time.
He's incredible, and that scene should have blown your face off from a sound perspective, and from the Dolby seats, Catherine, how they rumble. You know what I'm talking about, Nick, Sam?
Yeah, yeah.
And so it's kind of like it didn't, and it's like what's happening? And I don't know if some of the films distributed to the theaters weren't perfect or what happened, but to me it really hurt the storytelling in the film, because there were moments that were death defying, and you weren't in it. You didn't feel it the way you felt it in the other missions.
For me, like, it's funny because me and Chris were talking about this not too long ago, like literally a few days ago. We're talking
That's
about
crazy.
like the greatest action movies and how Mission Impossible is, makes the list of iconic action movies. But I feel like in the early movies, they did really well to making the storyline flow through each movies. Then the latest ones, they are good. They're phenomenal standalone movies. But where's the backstory? Where's the nostalgia of the story from the beginning? Which is the only thing that makes me a little sad. But it's okay. It's all right. We'll forgive them.
Well, let me add. I got to add something to that. I want to add something real quick, Chris, which is,
Please.
I think that makes me a little sad is the fact that Papa Bear would lie to us on this podcast, and he would lie to our audience on this podcast, just so blatant.
Do you know Papa Bear?
No, I'm just saying. No, listen. I heard him just a couple of minutes ago. You understand? This man said, as Tom Cruise ages. Wait, Tom Cruise ages? That's a thing that he does? I don't know. I don't think so. They keep talking about how old he is and how old he's getting, but I'm like, man, I swear this he's the same dude. He's doing the same stunts. He looks the same. He's doing all the great stuff. I'm like, man, Papa Bear, he doesn't age. Don't say that.
Really?
That's like telling me Brad Pitt is over 60 years old. That ain't a thing.
Google adrenochrome.
See?
Google adrenochrome.
right. Don't say it.
Yeah. All right. Shout out to Tom Cruise. Shout out to safe and open adrenochrome dosing and staying young forever. I do think that there are all these people out there that like Brian Johnson is one of them. There's another guy, David Sinclair. These are these people who believe, like you believe, Nick, that death is just a disease that hasn't been cured or solved yet. And Ray Kurzweil is another one. I mean, these are people who are hell bent on living to forever, living to 200,
Wait, did we
living to
already
150.
mention? Oh God, his name slips me, but oh dang it, he is, and he has a son, and like him and his son traded blood or something. Oh, this is
That's
very
Please,
Adreno
smart
Sam
way
knows.
of trying to bring up
Sam
somebody.
knows.
Who is it, Sam?
What's his name?
Mm.
I follow him on Instagram because like he's so interesting to me, but also like I want to drink the juice that he's drinking.
Find
I
it,
wanna
It's
live
Sam.
called
forever.
it's called your child's blood.
Right.
That one, that guy.
So we're living a fascinating time, and I really do believe that I believe in what you believe in, basically, fundamentally. The question is, philosophically, shouldn't we die?
No.
That's I think up for
I
question.
believe that. I'm just saying what my belief is. Tom Cruise doesn't age now that it's Brad Pitt, because
Yeah.
I don't want them to go away, and I want them to be who they are. Right. I was sad when James Earl Jones passed. I was like, that's not a thing, because
Yeah.
you're the same dude when I was 7. You were the same dude at 15. You're the same dude at 35. Right. Like, he's James Earl Jones. He's a figure, and I don't ever want to lose you. And that's what this is about. Right. These are icons of our culture, not just art, icons of our culture, and I don't want to see him go. But yes, I do believe that there's, oh my gosh, I feel like I have to quote Mufasa.
Please.
It's the circle of life.
Of life.
You understand? That's it, man. We got to go through the circle of life, and we come and we go, and that is how it should be.
Have you guys
Hear,
seen
hear.
the documentary Limitless with Chris
Yes.
Hemsworth?
Yeah.
Have you seen it?
I've watched
That
all the
episode?
episodes.
Yeah.
That episode of where they have him go through death, right?
Yeah.
Like it really puts so much into perspective, and I think
Yeah.
before seeing that episode, just the thought of death is so scary, right? Because it's just only unknown after death.
Yeah.
I
It's
mean,
really
some
over.
people find comfort in different answers, philosophies, religion, right? But I don't think that we can't actually claim what happens after death. It's just something that it's like a rite of passage that we all go through.
Catherine, let me
And-
remind you of something.
Tell me.
Tomorrow is unknown.
Yes, you are right.
Are you going to trademark that, Nick? You're going to get
it
that
is
tattooed on your left
Very
ass
profound.
See?
Tomorrow is unknown.
That's right. So we fear that.
Are you saying
right?
we are
But,
professionals?
see,
Look,
right?
to me, it's
See,
what
that's
Catherine
it.
said.
Yeah.
What makes death bearable is the fact that everyone we know, everyone that's ever existed, has done it before us.
Yeah.
So it's
and we're just gonna have to do it.
right.
Yeah.
So that's what makes it bearable. Now, there are a lot of people that are pretending, Catherine. They are pretending to be okay with it. They are living their life as if they are going to get a sequel, or a prequel, and they're not going
What do you mean by that?
to get that.
Are
they're
we
not
saying
taking
that there are
advantage
people
of
who are
their.
being careless, or not taking advantage?
Just like wasting time.
Okay.
Wasting time, and then they'll couch that into nihilism, right? I think one of the trends I've seen over the last decade is nihilism among people intern Sam's age. Like, there is just a heightened amount of people who don't believe in anything. They have no beliefs in anything, and so therefore you get to make
scary.
it's terrifying, because because we don't believe in anything. You can do anything to anybody.
You can do
it
anything.
Doesn't matter.
Yeah, you become so detached that nothing matters.
Yeah, and it's just a big lie you tell yourself. Every person on their deathbed wants another day. They want another breath.
Yeah.
And all you have to do is watch somebody die, and you know that's true. And when they're old, you get to a point where they can accept it easier. I have a couple very elderly people in my life. I think they've come to the acceptance of it. Their body is weary. They are tired, but they want another day. They want another breath. And when you're a nihilist, you're not allowed to say that out loud. And what are you going to do with your one beautiful life? To quote, was that Elizabeth Gilbert? Is it that? So what are you going to do with your one beautiful life? And I think everyone should go out there, especially if you're creative, and just go for it the way you are, Catherine. Like, just go for it. Figure out how to make the compromises, have the conversations, what you need to sacrifice, what you need to do. But you're not going to get a second chance at this. And
Yeah.
you got to go do
That's
it
why
right
you should
now.
ride a motorcycle right off a cliff.
And ride it and do it yourself, damn it.
6 times.
6
Do you know-
times.
Funny enough, I feel like the thing that really pushed me to get back into the industry after becoming a mom was going through like such a painful experience and feeling that like life is fleeting, you know. If I can take a moment to share, actually, it
Please.
was during the this was right when things shut down. Or I guess, this is also a cautionary tale, you guys. So my husband and I, we were undecided about like, okay, do we want more children? Do we not want more children? The truth is, both of our babies were surprise babies, and we weren't mad about it. We may have not felt super ready, but they were welcoming surprises, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But we were like, all right, let's not be surprised the third time, you know, let's be in charge of it. And so we were like, let's have you, husband, go get the snippety snip, and let's preserve swimmers beforehand. So we ended up doing the procedure, and what we didn't know is that there is a 3-month window where you can still get pregnant, or man, his sperm is still vital because of the 90-day cycle.
Yep.
Which I didn't know anything about this. I don't have a male body, so I'm not educated. And
I'm
we
mad the
had
doctor
to learn.
didn't say anything. Come on now.
No.
It's their responsibility. I'm
Well,
mad.
yeah, I always ask them, like, he didn't tell you anything?
Yeah, it's crazy. That was one of the first things I was told. So I have one of those.
That,
But yeah,
you were told?
I was told for sure.
I was told as
I-
well.
Oh my goodness. Well, we didn't know. He just was kind of like, for him, he was just like, it was an in and out appointment. We didn't know. We get pregnant unknowingly. And then the pandemic happens, and my OBGYN at the time was only taking like critical patients. And I experienced a miscarriage. Like, before I experienced a miscarriage, I could tell that something was off.
Yeah.
And I ended up switching OBGYNs to somebody who would take me. And we ended up having a miscarriage. And to be honest, like, I'm downplaying it right now, but like, I had to find reason to keep living, because it was one of the hardest experiences that I've ever gone through. Like, nobody prepares you for what that is like emotionally and physically for a woman, what your body does when you are losing that baby. Like, it is not for the weak. And it was really hard. And when it happened, Chris had just left to the UK for filming. And so I was alone with our 2 babies. And you know, this was still when like quarantine was a thing. And if people had to fly, they had to quarantine, or the 2-week thing, and wear masks, all the things. So like, it was a very hard experience to go through alone. And at the time, I was actually thinking like, hey, I might start a podcast. And then when I finally did my healing, I was like, you know what I'm most passionate about is acting. And I was just like, why am I wasting my time? And I dove headfirst into it. So my point is, sometimes we unfortunately have to go through, and hopefully there are people out there that can learn without having to go through traumatic experiences. But I think for me, it took that painful experience to give me a wake-up call of like, life is fleeting. Why are we saving everything for later or putting things off?
It's well said. It reminds me of something Stephanie Black said. Actress Stephanie Black said, she runs the I Am a Theater in LA, and are used to, and she just said that this is an industry too that can just topple you. And it's so competitive, and your friends can become your enemies, and you get rejected a lot. And you have to really have that level of self-care to be able to get through it. And so I just deeply appreciate you sharing your story and some details around how you were able to get through it. Was there a moment you can remember where you woke up and said, no more of this, I have to figure out a way out of this dark place and go towards acting?
Well, yes, the way it happened was actually really magical. And I'm thankful for not the heartache, but I am thankful for the silver lining. It took me so long. I remember grieving this for way too long. And I mean, grieving is not linear and it's different for everyone, right?
Mm-hmm.
But it was it was also at a time where we were leaving a high demand religion. And so there was so many existential questions, so many questions as to why things happen, the balance of the universe, everything. Why did this happen to me? How do we get through it, etc. So this job that my husband had flown to was actually the filming of Jurassic World Dominion. It was one of the first films it was actually the first film that started up and running in the pandemic. And
that's right.
The time that we were separated, it was just so hard. It made everything so much harder. And so he was like, you know what, I'm going to fly you guys out. I'm going to ask the production if it's okay for you guys to come out, and I'm going to fly you guys out. And they were so graceful, and they were like, absolutely, bring your wife and kids out. And, first of all, being taken out of my space where I was grieving was so helpful. But two, let me just tell you what I walked into. So, oops, camera. We were staying production, or the main cast of Jurassic World was staying at a place called the Langley in London, which is in an old manor. This manor is I think it dates back to the 1500s. It's beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. And it was just the main cast that was staying at the place, plus the assistants and the nannies and my husband. And it had grounds, it had a private pool, it had a restaurant, it had a lot of walking space. And so being in this magical place and being taken care of by production, huge shout out to them, because I don't think they understand how much it meant to me to be able to have that opportunity and for my family to be reunited at such a time, because it wasn't until then that my husband and I were able to hug and hold each other for the loss that we both went through separately,
Yeah.
So
wow.
Shout out to them, because they might have saved your life.
Yeah,
absolutely. And just they made it magical for my kids too, and I will never ever forget. I feel emotional just talking about it, but they made it so magical for my kids. They rented bikes, they found us boots for us to go on walks, and they had a day where they took us to set and they showed my kids all the animatronics and the dinosaurs.
That's so
and
cool.
That's
we got to just hang out on set, because we were all living in quarantine. And also the friendships that were made during that time as well. We also got to bond with people who I would not normally bond with. And what I mean by that was these A-list actors, and DeWanda Wise, she's, I'm sure you guys know her. She's in the show as well. She had already made it to Hollywood at that time, but this was a really cool moment in her career, right? Her going after her dream, that was so inspiring to me. Being surrounded by these actors who were giving it their all to grow their career, and here we are in the middle of the pandemic, and everything is just so serendipitous. The way everything was set up, it was just who would have thought that we would all of us be and sharing everyday life with all these strangers, It was just such a special time. So I will forever be thankful for that.
wow.
That's great.
Yeah, it's amazing.
I'd love to make a PSA just based on that, and then we'll get into some culture check, Nick.
Yes.
I just want a little PSA, because there is a lot of rhetoric online right now, a lot of messaging, millions of messages perhaps, that are basically calling everyone in entertainment, swamp things. demons. We're all corrupt. We're all this. We're all that. No, you just heard an example of how great the industry can be to a
Oh
person
my goodness.
and to a family. It's not. There's not a ditty behind every door. And
Right.
when you, again, to Nick's point earlier in the conversation, just like Venezuelan people aren't a monolith, Black people aren't a monolith, creatives in Hollywood and in music are not a monolith. We're all different, have different experiences. Don't ever forget that, and don't ever buy into the brainwashing and the the fever dreams of these idiots online. So yeah, stay off the Hindenburg that's floating across the fever smog of the minds of these idiots. Nick, please hit us with a culture check.
Yeah, so I was going to tell Catherine that we do this segment that Chris might have mentioned earlier as we were prepping, and we love to do this culture check.
Well, that woke me up at 6 a.m.
That truly startled me that time. A lot of times
I
I'm
got
just
you.
pretending it
That was a
startled
good
me.
one.
That
Yeah,
time
but
it
that
really
one.
did startle me. Okay.
Yeah, I think
I think you
Sam
knocked
Pete a
some
little.
books off the shelf.
Yeah,
you knocked some
yeah,
books on top of Papa Bear's background there. Well
I
done,
just want to
sir.
tell
Yeah,
the
that's
viewers, if you're not watching the visual of this, you're missing the whole show.
that's right.
We keep telling
100%.
people
You gotta
that.
get. That's right. You gotta get on it. This is wonderful. This is what we do. All right. So the culture check is where we take something that's happening, right? Something out there in the world, or
Okay.
something we experienced about the culture that we want to
Mhm.
talk about. And the thing that I want to
Okay.
talk about is actually something that happened recently at the PG Film Festival, and it happens
Okay.
at all festivals around the world. So at every festival, we have the benefit of panels and workshops. At the panels and workshops, you get to go and see these professionals in the industry talk about their profession, something that they do that you want to learn about or you want to be a part of, whether it's getting your film
Ooh.
distributed, it's financing, it's acting. I got to do an acting workshop that was great, right? So there's all these things you get to do. And one of the things that I noticed is that for the purposes of positivity, one of the things that these panelists almost often do, and I kind of noticed this in a bunch of panels, is that they give us the positive story, the positive affirmation. Okay. So I'm just going to give you an example. And an example is this young lady got up and she said, hey, look, I've been doing, she's an actor. She said, I've been doing all these auditions and I've done 70 auditions this year and I haven't gotten a part. And, the people up there, the panelists are like, look, keep doing what you're doing, right? Sometimes it's not about you. It's about, hey, I know I was on this thing one time. The guy said it. He's like, they were looking for somebody and they did eeny, meeny, miny, mo, and they picked the character, right? They picked the actor. There's sometimes when it might be the producer's daughter or the so-and-so's son, or it's just they have a relationship with you and they know you well enough that they're like, yes, I want to work with that person again.
Right.
But don't worry about that stuff. You can't do anything
Mhm.
about that. Just keep on your grind and keep moving forward. And we love it. Everybody claps, right? Everybody says amen. Everybody says, yes, that's what I'm talking about. And I, on the other hand, raised my hand and I said, I appreciate that. Thank you very much. Right? That was awesome. But what if she just sucks? No, I didn't say that. I didn't say it out loud. I didn't say it like that, right? I didn't do it dirty. But that's what I'm thinking, right? Basically, what I said was, I asked the question. I said, at what point do you have to look at yourself and look at maybe the training that you're getting? If you're going to the same instructor, like think about it. If you watch tennis, for example, I love tennis. The number of times that those tennis players have switched coaches is insane when you think about it with respect to other sports. It's the same coach for 50 years, right? But tennis players are individuals. They're just like an actor is. They're an individual. And sometimes you need to change your training. Sometimes you need to change your venue. And I was just going to put that out there. Like, one, there's two parts of it. One is the culture check that I think that we do need to take an opportunity to actually look at ourselves and say that maybe we aren't actually good enough. Don't always look at everybody else and say it's them, not me. Right.
Yep.
And the second thing is just a question to you. Like, how do you see it? You've been in the industry, you've seen people in different skill
Yeah.
sets, right? How would you say handle that? What would be your advice to getting a person beyond their own, let's say, personal obstacle in order to
Yeah.
actually become the best version of themselves that will get them into the role that they're looking for?
Yeah. Well, funny enough, I just talked about this in an interview. I think number one thing is you always want to stay in a growth mindset mentality. Always be open to learning, right? And like the other thing too is like there will be way more no's than yes in this industry, especially at the beginning. You will audition for way more, like the ratios are so off. You will audition for way more roles than the ones that you will actually book or nail. But also, like what you said too, like changing, it's funny too, because tennis is always a metaphor that comes up in the acting world. Always, always, always. So I love that you brought that up. But changing your environment, your learning environment, trying new things. I think too, like going to acting class is so important. Most agents won't even take you on if you don't have a name and you're not in an acting class. That's a no-no. That's like an athlete not going to the gym. What are you doing? What are you doing with your time? You know, where are you putting your efforts? How are you sharpening your tools? But also different classes and different workshops and different acting networks will offer different things. So I think it's so important to not get comfortable in one place, which is so easy to do, you know, especially when you fall in love with a group of people in an acting class, like, you know, sharing those acting moments and scenes. It can really be so intimate, you know, and so you bond with these people and you just want to stay there and you form friendships, which is great. Keep nurturing those friendships, but also like motivate each other to step out of your comfort zone and try new things, because at least for me, that's the formula that's worked very great for me, is just continuously switching where I'm learning from. Because for as great as one coach can be or one class can be, they can't teach you everything or all the tools that you can possibly know to pick up and sharpen. So that's a very, very key thing. And then, yeah, and second of all, too, I think aside from your acting classes is taking this to me, I feel like it's almost like an industry secret, but it shouldn't be. But something that is known to work is taking workshops from casting directors, you know, learning different casting directors, styles, like learning like the ins and out, the business ins and outs of this industry. You know, like it's important to know different casting companies, different casting directors, what their styles are, there's a lot of casting directors that are like, if you do this, I'm not looking at you, or we like it when actors do this. Like those are important things to know. These are the people that, you know, these are your coworkers. Get to know your coworkers, get to know what the demands are and things like that. So I think continuously staying in an open mindset, continuously learning, doing your research, moving around. That's the formula that's worked for me.
I love it.
Does that
Yeah,
help?
we haven't heard that, Chris. Like we haven't heard that last piece, right? That last piece about the casting director and those workshops.
I think that's great. I was just going to say,
huge. This is how I found my agent.
Okay, I'm gonna write that down. I think this is great.
Down.
This is great advice and something different. And you can couple Catherine's advice there with our episodes with the great Sophie Holland, who casted for Wednesday, and what's the other one, Sam, that Sophie Holland did? Nick, she did another one with. She did Wednesday and one other really, really popular Netflix show.
Not Beetlejuice.
No. But it was like
she recently did Beetlejuice.
Oh yeah, she did do Beetlejuice. Yeah, so she did that, and then shout out to Kim Petrowski, who also did an episode with us along with Cookie McCrae, and you can learn about what casting directors are looking for in auditions and when they book you for things as well. So I think that's really sound. I am curious, in your opinion, Catherine, is it dangerous to switch styles? Right. So we know, like, do you go from Meisner to Stanislavski, or do you go to improvisational style? Or do you just try to learn them all?
No, I mean, I think you should just be open to learning all of the different styles and techniques.
Okay.
With that said, too, though, like, I'm also being a hypocrite right now because I keep saying like, oh, I'm gonna take improv. I'm gonna go back to improv. Like, it's been so long since I've done improv. And improv is like such a good tool for comedy. You know, I want to say like the most important tool for comedy, and also such a good tool for just acting, right? But right now I'm focusing on drama and action. So I'm like, oh, improv can wait, but maybe don't do as I say, not as I do.
Right. Well, the thing I love about improv is you have to listen.
Yes.
You can't do
Yes.
improv without listening. By the way,
Everything is in the listening.
everything's
That's right.
listening. And Sophie Holland, the show I was thinking about was The Witcher. So she did The Witcher
Oh, okay. Yes.
on
The
Netflix
Witcher.
as well. So shout out to Sophie Holland. I hope she's doing well. I know she is actually. So that's really great. Nick, I guess my response to this culture check, just in short, because I think Catherine's response is enough actually, but I will just say, if you're in that position as a creative or in anything you're doing in life, actually, you sort of have to ask yourself, how many auditions make a trend? How many make data, right? If you were an entrepreneur and you kept trying to do a thing, and me and Sam have had a lot of long conversations about this in our one-on-ones when we talk offline. It's like, are we just going to keep throwing this same rock against the wall and expecting some different result? Like,
that's literally the definition of insanity.
Yeah,
That's
we
right.
should try to do something different. Like, we have enough data that shows, for whatever reason, what we're doing in this particular realm or that realm isn't working to our desired outcome. So how do we, what you said, grow? And I think if you've done 70 auditions, you have to ask yourself, how many does it take to get booked? Now, let's say you go on 100 and you get booked on one. So you booked 1 out of 100 auditions. Mm-hmm. Are you satisfied with that data? Okay. If so, then just take 100 more and you're going to get your second one. Right. But if you're not, and I know most actors that I've talked to are not satisfied with that ratio, how do I get that down to 1 out of 20 or 1 out of 10 that I get? And that, Katherine, requires what you said, which is the growth and sharpening your skill.
Well, you know what, too? I'd love to add to that because that's also like a problem. I feel like it's just a rite of passage for an actor, like especially at the beginning. You just audition and audition and audition. And so much of auditioning is unfortunately kind of like a guessing game.
Yeah.
For me, another thing that was a huge game changer was going to a class. My accent just comes out sometimes and I stumble upon my tongue.
Let it happen.
I was going to say class, not class. I switched to an audition class. I started taking classes from he's my current coach right now. Not current coach. Sorry, I have many current coaches. I like to just keep nurturing different coach, like learning from different coaches. Does that make sense?
Okay.
Yeah. His name is Brad Carter. He's an established actor. I mean, he's been in True Blood, Yellowstone, so many other things. I started going to his audition classes and it was a huge game changer for me. Huge game changer because I was able to understand scene work in auditions, because here's another thing that's so important to know within the industry. Auditioning is not the same thing as being an actor who works on set. It's two separate jobs. Mm-hmm. Two separate jobs.
We've been told that.
Different. Yes, and there's different styles. Like when you're doing an audition, when you're doing a self-tape, it almost requires, a lot of the times requires a different type of either acting style, there we go again, or acting technique, or different techniques, because you also need to worry about the camera, the lighting, your eye line, your lines. Are you capturing the casting director's attention within the first 10 seconds? Some of these casting directors see thousands and thousands, nowadays it's more like, I've heard the numbers have gone down a lot more. It's like hundreds of auditions per role, sometimes thousands.
Because of self-tape.
So yes, exactly, because of self-tape. But if you are a data person, obviously look at the numbers. What are the numbers? Like every 20 auditions, my goal is to get a yes, or whatever that, whatever the data is for you, or what you find that works for you, but also in the technical side of things, knowing these things, of going to a different class, going to a different coach, being specific about what you're doing. Does that make sense?
Yeah, and acting for auditions. I mean, that's the key.
Yes,
like that,
yes,
we've been
acting
told
for
that before,
auditions.
and I don't think that people know that. Like the general
Nope.
population of actors, I don't think they understand that there's a difference. And that's, like you said, it
Yes.
shouldn't be a secret, but sometimes these things are.
Yeah. And at first, I honestly, I heard it at first. I can be so stubborn. I remember hearing that very early on, but auditioning is already so overwhelming that I was like, no, I'm not going to worry about it. I'm just going to go with my gut. And going with your gut is great, but you also want to be informed.
Yes.
Yeah.
And use the right tools.
That's right.
So.
Yeah. Information is power, folks.
That's right.
Katherine, this has been so incredibly fun.
Oh man.
You have,
this has been good.
Nick and I had high expectations. I think you've 10x'd those expectations.
Wow, yes, I can relax.
And that's right.
Yeah. We had such a blast. We'll just end on this. If you had to just put it into words, a sentence or two, what does making it mean to you? What would it mean for you to make it?
Oh man. Okay. Well, making it for me, I think, would be starring in movies with actors that I've admired since I was a little girl. But on that same breath, also having the balance at home, knowing that my kids are taken care of and that my marriage is taken care of, that nothing has gotten in the way. So here's me manifesting that I can have both, because
manifest with you.
Yes, let's have both.
Manifest
success in the home and success in the work.
That's right.
I love it. I love it. Balance.
We're all in on it.
Balance is what we want. That's right.
Yes.
Yeah.
It was very Bruce Lee of her, Nick.
That's a really good question, though.
She is
Oh my God.
She is water.
That's
She
right.
is water. Katherine, can you tell us where we can find you on social media, on the internet, or see some of your work?
Yeah, for sure. Well, I usually hang out on Instagram. I like TikTok. I think I'm on TikTok, but I don't really hang out on TikTok. That's no shade to TikTok. I'm just a simple girl.
Yes.
I hang out on Instagram.
Got it.
You can see my work, or at least track my work on IMDb, Katherine Ro. Yeah, you know how IMDb works.
Yeah, absolutely. And you can just search for her
Instagram
name,
handle.
Katherine Ro, spelled R-O. And yeah, Instagram handle, is it the Katherine Ro?
Yes, because all the other Katherine Ro's were taken. So I wasn't trying to be pompous, but I was like, whoa, gotta mark my territory here. So
That's right. Exactly.
100%.
So the Katherine Ro.
Yeah.
Nice.
Dude, yeah, folks. So you
one
heard
and
it.
only.
You heard, there you go. The one and only. That's right, producer Robert. So look, go out and do what she says. Go to Instagram, go to TikTok, go to social media, look for the Katherine Ro. Follow her. She's a wonderful follow, and she's a genuine person. So you are going to enjoy her Instagram account. It is not going to be a bunch of bull crap you don't like. I can attest
that
to
you
that.
don't need.
Or that you
That's
don't
right.
need. I can test that for
I
myself.
hope you like vacation pictures with my family.
Who doesn't?
Right. Who doesn't?
Go there and live
It's my
vicariously
scrapbook.
through Katherine and Chris.
Nice.
Shout out to Chris Romrell as well. Thank you for all the work you're doing and allowing us to have a little time with Katherine as well. Katherine, thank you so much for joining us. This is incredible. You can follow her acting journey and her path to making it, which she's definitely going to get there on the IMDb just by searching for her name, Katherine Ro, as well. She mentioned, as far as this podcast goes, if you're watching this on YouTube, you already know where to find us. If you're listening to this on Apple or Spotify, you already know where to find us there. So go find us on YouTube and vice versa. So if you're watching us, go find us on audio, give us a review. It means the world to us. It means quite a bit on audio, on Apple, Spotify, Amazon. And please do like and subscribe here on YouTube. That is just an enormous thing. And we really, really appreciate it. We're humbled by all the people who are supporting us, subscribing to us, and just there's so much goodness to come. Cotton Bureau. we have cool t-shirts, hoodies, hats, things you can get. These are super soft t-shirts, super soft, long. I love the long sleeve t-shirt, buttery soft. I love the long sleeve t-shirt we have at Cotton Bureau. So what a wonderful partner. They reject 90% of all designs and they accepted ours. So we're really proud of that, excited about that partnership. We'll have more stuff coming soon in that store and maybe in other stores as well. But for now, cottonbureau.com, and then search for the Make It podcast, and our store will come right up. We have, I think, 8 cities now, so you can get our classic Make It logo t-shirt. You can get it in Nashville, London, LA, Washington, DC, Mumbai, Tokyo, you name it. So wherever you're making it, you can find it on our t-shirt, and we'll be adding additional cities as we go. And last but not least, if you want to subscribe to our newsletter, it's called Indie Insights. It comes out every 2 weeks. It is a lovely little newsletter full of essential film information. We're not spamming you. We're not doing anything like that. This isn't a click thing where we're going to make you click on a bunch of things and you have to buy the stuff. There's other newsletters like that. If you want that thing, for us, we're just going to bring you the things that are most interesting to us in film, things that are maybe have been missed by some of the other newsletters and publications out there, and bring it to your attention, of course, with our own take on it and our personal twist. How do you do this? You can go to Bonsai. That's with an S, BONSAI.film, FILM /subscribe. And you will find the newsletter there. All it costs is your email. You'll be set up. We provide all kinds of access to discount codes, special gifts, swag. So there are some serious benefits to joining the newsletter. So go do that at bonsai.film /subscribe. If you want to reach out to Nick and talk to him about his time at Vanderbilt, you can do that at nick@bonsai.film. That's an email address. And then if you want to reach out to me, I'm on X, formerly known as Twitter, at Flame in Your Heart. That's my handle. Your is spelled UR. So Flame in UR Heart, or you can just search for Chris Barkley and I will come right up. So with that, young Nicholas, will you leave us with the credo?
Everybody's over here like, Chris has been talking. He's like, did he take a breath, bro? Come on now.
Nope, I sure didn't. I learned that from my
nope.
days in singing. I just took stutter breaths.
Oh, I'm sorry. I thought you were going to say you learned that from your days as a Navy SEAL. I didn't realize how you gonna...
me and Jocko.
There you go, Jocko Willie. All right, so yeah, I will have to say, first off, we have to drop a thank you not only to your husband, but we have to thank you, to the kids for giving this time, right? Giving you to us for this time. We appreciate them. I've got my kiddos running around this house as well too. It's just, they're a blessing, in our lives. We wouldn't be the people that we are today without them. And we just love them, right? And I love the fact that in your description of making it, they are a core part of that. And again, like Chris said, we had high hopes for this discussion. You 10x'd it because of the fact that you are a human being that we appreciate, and that just extends that love from your family to our family here at the Make It podcast and our audience.
Thank you so much.
Yes, my pleasure. And thank you. And to all of our fans, our friends, and our filmmaking friends out there, we always say, be better, be creative, and be engaged.
And thank you for listening. Catherine, talk to you soon.
Oh my gosh, it was an honor, you guys. Thank you so much. I thoroughly enjoyed this.
Likewise.
Awesome.
Nick, Sam, Papa Bear, thank you. Love you guys.
Yep. All right, folks. Love you guys too. Take it easy.
Peace.